Daniel Price's black luxury sedan slid silently into the underground garage of his high-rise penthouse. The city was just starting to glow with the orange hue of sunset, but instead of heading to a high-profile business dinner as planned, Daniel had impulsively told his driver to take him home. He hadn't called ahead, hadn't messaged his assistant, hadn't even texted the house staff. After weeks of grueling meetings, sleepless nights, and endless calls, he just wanted to see his son, truth be told, he wasn't sure how that would go. He swiped his keycard at the private elevator, stepping out directly into the expansive, modern living room of his home. The air smelled faintly of fresh baked bread. Rosa must have been cooking, but instead of the usual quiet, there was laughter. Soft at first, then louder, punctuated by the sound of something metallic clanging. Daniel's brow furrowed. Liam rarely lied these days. At just 8 years old, his boy had withdrawn into a quiet shell after his mother's passing 2 years ago. Even when Daniel tried to draw him out, he was met with polite smiles at best. So what was this? He moved silently across the polished marble floor, following the sound into the open concept kitchen. Then he stopped. On the floor, amid a small cluster of overturned pots and pans, sat Rosa, the new maid. She was cross-legged, holding 2 wooden spoons like drumsticks, tapping out a quick, cheerful rhythm on the pots. Across from her sat Liam, also with 2 spoons, trying to copy her beat. His cheeks were flushed, his mouth open in laughter, his little hands clumsy but eager. Good, Micha, Rosa encouraged, her accent warm and musical. Now, we go faster. She sped up, her hands a blur, humming a tune Daniel didn't recognize but that carried the lilting joy of the Caribbean. Daniel's mouth went dry. He hadn't seen his son's eyes sparkle like that in months, maybe years. Liam wasn't just lying. He was alive in a way Daniel hadn't thought possible anymore. And Rosa, she wasn't even looking at the clock or dusting shelves. She was on the floor, giving all her attention to his boy, her smile as bright as Liam's. Daniel didn't move, didn't speak. For the first time in a long while, he simply stood and watched, almost afraid that if he made a sound, the moment would disappear. Rosa and Liam didn't notice Daniel at first. They were too wrapped up in their own little world, where saxophones became drums and later replaced the usual heavy silence of the penthouse. Rosa was teasing him in a playful tone, calling him Senorita Percussion, and pretending to award him a medal for keeping the beat. Liam jiggled so hard he dropped one of his spoons, and Rosa leaned forward, tapping him lightly on the nose. You see, music is everywhere, she said softly to him, switching now to a gentler rhythm on the upturned pots. You just have to listen for it, even in the kitchen. Daniel finally stepped forward, the sound of his shoes on the till making both of them glance up. Liam froze, caught mid-low, as to if his father would be angry about the mess. Rosa, however, didn't jump to her feet or scramble to apologize like most of the staff usually did when surprised by him. She simply smiled, a calm, steady smile, and said, "Good evening, Mr. Price. We were just making a little music." Daniel's eyes flicked from her to his son. Liam was still holding the spoon in one hand, but his small fingers were tightening around it as to bracing for scalding. Daniel crouched down slowly, his tailored suit stretching at the seams, and reached for one of the spoons lying on the floor. "A little music, huh?" he said, turning it in his fingers. "Mind if I join?" Liam's mouth fell open. You want to play? Dad, Daniel gave a small shrug. "Why not? But you'll have to teach him the rhythm, I might be a slow learner." Rosa chuckled under her breath, passing him a pot and adjusting it so it wouldn't slide. "Okay, but you must follow the maestro here," he said, nodding to Liam. The boy straightened up a little, puffing his chest out as he tapped the beat. Daniel capped, his teaming awkward but earnest. Soon all 3 were drumming, the kitchen ringing with a chaotic but strangely beautiful melody of clinks and clanks. For the first time in months, Daniel wasn't thinking about board meetings, stock prices, or mergers. All he could focus on was the way Liam's smile seemed to grow wider with each beat, the way his laughter spilled it out without restraint, and the quiet pride in Rosa's eyes as SH watched father and son fall into rhythm together. By the time the song wound down, the floor was a mess of pots, wooden spoons, and clatter. Liam leaned against Daniel's arm, out of breath but happy, while Rosa began sticking the pans back up. Daniel caught her eye for a brief moment, and in that silent exchange, he knew something had shifted. SH hadn't just entertained his son, SH had cracked open a door he thought had been locked forever. Later that night, after Liam had been tucked into bed, Daniel found himself lingering in the dimly lit kitchen. The air still carried the faint aroma of cocoa Rosa had made for Liam, and the counters were spotless again, evidence of her quiet efficiency. Yet the image of her sitting on the floor with his son, turning sassafras into dramas and fear into laughter, refused to leave his mind. Rosa appeared from the pantry, wiping her hands on a towel. SH seemed surprised to see him still there. "Did you need something, Mr. Price?" SH asked politely, though her tone was softer than before. Daniel hesitated, which was rare for him. He was used to commanding rooms, signing deals worth millions without a blink, but now, words felt heavier. "I wanted to thank you," he said finally. "Not for the kitchen concert. For giving Liam something I didn't realize had been missing." Rosa tilted her head slightly. "He doesn't need much," SH said. "Just someone who listens to him. Someone who plays when he wants to play." Daniel let out a quiet breath, leaning against the counter. "I thought providing for him meant giving him the best of everything, schools, classes, a home most people only dream of." But tonight, he trailed off, glancing toward the hallway where his son slept. "Tonight I saw him truly happy. And it wasn't because of anything I bought." Rosa's eyes softened, to SH didn't stick closer. "Money can't teach a child how to love really," SH said gently. "Only love can do that." There was a pause, a strained, comfortable silence, before Daniel reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. He held it toward her. "This is for you, not as payment, but as a sign of appreciation." SH looked down at it, then back at him, shaking her head slightly. "I don't want money for that moment, Mr. Price. You can't buy what happened tonight. Keep it, use it to make more nights like that with your son." The refusal caught him off guard. No one turned down his offers. For a moment, Daniel didn't know what to say, but then a small, genuine smile broke across his face. "You're different, Rosa, and I think that's exactly what we needed in this house." As SH quietly left the kitchen, Daniel stayed behind, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in years. For the first time, the penthouse didn't feel like just a monument to his successes, it felt a little bit like a home. And in his heart, he knew the Maid had just changed not only Liam's life, but his own. Defis. If you want, I can also give you image. Prompts for each scene of this story is ready for visuals. Would you like to prepare those?